This is Tammy, and I just wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about navigating these shifts. And so I just read something on Facebook that this girl was talking about this young lady that was struggling because she was dealing with some postpartum issues. She was like a mother of, I think she had just had her fourth baby, and she was dealing with some postpartum stuff. And so welcome in. And so when I think about that and I consider that, it took me back to when I had my own children. So my youngest is, I have one that will be 34 in September, and my oldest will be 36 in November. And so I still think back to the times where when I was navigating all of that after pregnancy stuff, the postpartum and everything. At the time, in those days, nobody really talked about it. Nobody seemed to even really care about it. And so for me, I thought, my God, maybe I'm strange. Maybe something's wrong with me, because I did realize that with one of my children, because for me, I had my children so close, they were 19 months apart. So I don't think I really even had time to deal with any postpartum with the first one. And I don't remember that I did, but I remember the second one. I was really sad and I had some serious issues. But for me, I think I was lucky because I had my grandmother there. And my grandmother was my person. And she was the one that actually helped me through all of that stuff, because I didn't know what was going on. I was 22 years old when I had my second baby. And I just didn't know. I mean, I knew how to take care of kids because I had helped my mother raise her children. So I knew how to take care of children, but I did not know how to take care of me. And so at that time, if it wasn't for my grandmother, I don't know if I would still be here or my child. Because there were days when I felt so bad that I called her and I said, are you busy? Can I bring this baby over? Because my son at the time was really, really hard to deal with. He was, and I blame myself because I went through so much when I was having him. My ex-husband now he's my ex-husband, but at the time he was my husband, and he had told me that he wanted a divorce when I was 8 months pregnant, which was harsh, really, really. But, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I was really seriously, stressed because, I did love him, but I just didn't understand, how to navigate that. And so my grandmother was there, and I'm so grateful for her because she helped me to navigate all of these things that, a lot of times people end up doing crazy things. And I'm not going to say what they do, but y'all know. Like there was this woman with the 5 kids that had the postpartum, and she actually unalived all the kids. And so, I knew that that was something that was possible. And the way that I felt, I probably could have done that. But my grandmother recognized it, and she actually, I think I went to her house and stayed with her a few days. She kept my child for me a few days because he was actually reacting to the way that I felt. And so all the rejection and the stuff that I felt from my ex-husband, asking me for a divorce at 8 months pregnant with another child already, um, it was a struggle. And so my grandmother actually, she was a pastor. For those of you that don't know, my grandmother was an amazing woman, and she was a pastor, and she was my person. So she was the person that I went to with everything. And she actually took me and she held me because that was what I needed at the time. And being a black woman, especially in those times, we didn't do counseling and therapy and stuff because you didn't go and talk to um, other people about your business. That was just something that was culturally driven in us at that time. Now I am Gen X. I do not advise that now. Now I have been to counseling and I've been to therapy. When I got ready to get divorced, my first husband, but it was something that culturally we just didn't do. You just didn't go and talk to people about your business. You just didn't do that. And so that, I'm sure, hurt a lot of women, because sometimes you need help. Sometimes you just can't do it all by yourself. And me, being a black woman and being conditioned as we are to believe that we can take care of all of our issues and all of our struggles and all of our problems, it just doesn't always work. And so I'm grateful for that. And I was excited to see that post from that young lady talking about this thing, because a lot of times we shove that stuff under the rug and we don't talk about it and we don't share. And so people don't think that these things happen to us. But here today, me as a black woman, I'm sharing that this did happen to me. To be honest with you, I think I probably had 2 or 3 breakdowns in my life. And for none of those breakdowns did I get any counseling. Did I get any help? Did I get any therapy? Did I talk to anybody that was in that area of, a counselor or mental health professional? None of that. But I'm glad that these things exist and that we are finally getting to a point where we can find people that we can relate to, that we can talk to. Because, back in the day, black people didn't even want to go to the doctor, and I can believe that, because for me in my life, and I had an incident just recently where I went to an emergency room because I was feeling poorly, like the reason why we go. I actually have a doctor's appointment, but I thought at that point, I thought I might have pneumonia or COVID or the flu or something. And so I went to the emergency room. And for the first time in a very, very, very long time, I felt cared for when I went to this place. And it was a new place for me. Like, I had never been before. So the people didn't know me at all. And sometimes that's difficult too. But I felt cared for. As a black woman, I felt cared for, because I went in for chest congestion. I was trying to cough up a lung. It was just awful. And they did the COVID test. They did the flu test. They did a chest x-ray because I thought it could possibly be pneumonia. I didn't know, but just the way that I felt, I thought I better get this checked, because I am a black woman in my 50s. And so the doctor, the provider that was there, the PA, he was amazing. And I did a review for the hospital because they had a lot of bad reviews. And I wanted people to know that there are some good people out there, and there are some good providers, and that people do actually, do their job and take care of you and not look at you as a black woman, and think these thoughts, and, believe that the lies and the myths that people have around black women, that, we don't need care. And so this particular provider actually, I felt like he went over and above, because he checked me for cardiac stuff, which he said because of my age. And y'all, it was funny because every time they looked at my age, they would look at my age, and then they would look at me, and they would look at my age, and then they would ask me my birth date about 3 or 4 times. Like I was gonna get that wrong. But I was okay with that, because I know that, black don't crack. And so, but I was appreciative that he took the time to get this extra work, because it was something that, would have been detrimental to me if it had gone on without being checked. And so I was so appreciative, and I felt cared for. And that for me is huge, because typically when I go into medical facilities, I have to over advocate for myself. When I go with my husband, I have to over advocate for him almost every single time. The doctor that he has now is amazing, and I'm so grateful. And it's the VA, which I have to say, I've been so impressed with the VA, because, people speak so negatively and so badly about it, but we have had only the best care with the VA. We felt cared for. My husband, I didn't have to over advocate for him to make sure that they did the things that they were supposed to do, that they would do for everyone else, because that is how I have felt. I felt like that they would do things for other people that don't look like me, that they wouldn't do for me. And I could never figure out why. Couldn't figure out why, especially being in the medical field. I worked in the medical field for 35 years, and I have seen so much. And I've seen people get the care that they need, you know, by advocating for themselves. And I also, as a medical professional, have advocated for other people because it's something that I feel is necessary. It's just not right and we culturally have felt so discriminated against. So many times we don't even go to the hospital for simple things that maybe can be cured because of how we feel about the way we're treated. And so I wanted to, one of the things I want to share is that we can be treated appropriately. And, but we also do have to always advocate for ourselves. And I don't give a fuck what people think about my advocating for me or mine. If I go with my husband, I advocate for him. If I go with my mother, my children, anybody, I am advocating for them because it is necessary. Because nobody is. And culturally, I can talk about the Tuskegee experiment. Relatives, my dad is from Alabama, and some of his uncles were involved in those experiments. I can talk about all of that. I can talk about how they did surgery on Black women without anesthesia. I can talk about that. I can talk about how they took our wombs and tied our tubes without our consent. I can talk about all of that. And so when I go, I'm conscious of all of these things. But here's the other thing that I say. This will never happen again, and it will never happen in my life. Because one of the things that I am is an advocate for myself, for my family, and for my people. Because I know that we are not often treated kindly. And so I'm here, to talk about that and to share. And I wanted to share that experience because I want people to know that there are people out there that care, that actually do their job in the medical field. For me, I have always done that. I have taken care of people of every nationality and every race. And the one thing that I can say is we all bleed red blood. And the thing is if you need blood, doesn't matter who you get it from. As long as, they have your blood type or, the universal blood type of O, it's fine. You don't know who it is. You don't know what color they are, what race they are, none of that stuff, which it doesn't matter. So this live went all kind of places, but I hope that it was something that was helpful for you that are here listening and those that are catching the replay. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following me. If you are subscribing, I thank you. I appreciate you. But I was sick for about a week, so I haven't even been live anywhere for about a week. But I wanted to come on and just talk about this. And I also have an invitation. I put in the comments. I have a membership. Remember who TF you are. I put that in the comments. And then I also, if you are looking for love and you want to manifest your soulmate, I have a bundle that I've created. It is a workbook and it's not super long. So it's not going to be 25 pages or nothing like that. Nothing that you got to do for another job, because that is something I'm considerate of. And it's also in meditation activation as well. So that is in the comments. You can grab that. And you can also check out my Stan store where I have lots of free resources as well as some paid ones, because you know what? I got to eat too. So again, I just appreciate you for listening, for watching, for subscribing. And I love it if you would check out my podcast. It's over here now. I migrated it over here, straight out of Savannah, where the magic happens, where I interview spiritual entrepreneurs. So psychics, mediums, channels, holistic healers, human design people, mediums, astrologers, numerologists. I have interviewed them all, and I absolutely enjoy and love it. So if you are if you are a spiritual entrepreneur and you would like to come on my show, just send me a message. Let me know, because I'm always looking for people, amazing people to showcase, to come on the show if you are in the spiritual entrepreneur space. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate all of the love. Y'all don't even know. It's something. But I'm going to be talking about navigating these shifts going forward, because I know that it's something that we need, especially as women. I appreciate all the men and I thank you, but I'm going to be talking about navigating these shifts. And I'm sure that there's something that you can learn as we go through this content of navigating shifts and doing it with spirit and intuition, because that really is the way that we want to go. And so I really, really appreciate you. I'll be doing some workshops coming up in the next month. I think right around the new moon, I'm going to be doing a workshop on divine intuition activation. I would love for you to join me. It's a free workshop, just a little bit of time. I usually, honestly, my workshops are usually an hour or less. I do not usually go long time unless spirit calls me to do so. But at this time, it'll be probably about an hour, hour and a half, so that you have time for questions. Um, and then I also have a Facebook group, Soulful Navigating Soulful Shifts, I think it is. Can't remember what it is, y'all. I don't know. I'll let y'all know. But I have a Facebook group, and it's just for women navigating shifts. And these shifts are empty nest. These shifts are retiring. These shifts are, even when you have a baby, because that really is a shift and you need support in that. And the thing about this group is I am the facilitator, but this group is not just me speaking to you. It is a community coming together, speaking. If you need some help and if somebody needs some help and you've been through that, speak to it. It's okay, because that is why we are here. And that is why I created that group. So again, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope that your day is magical. I had a magical day. I went to the beach. I'll actually probably post some of those pictures as well. But I really appreciate you. And I appreciate your time, because you could be listening to anybody else. But here you are right now listening to me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And share this to somebody that you know needs to hear this. I hope you have a great day. Bye now.